Hey there everybody, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Precious Remembrance Shop, and I'm going to be using 4 different stamp sets. This is the newest release. It's called the Happy Mail stamp set, and I'm going to be using a stamp from this one. This is the Fall Colors stamp set. I love those leaves. They're so pretty. This is the Journey stamp set, and I'm going to be using one of those, as well as the This Moment stamp set. So I like to mix and match and just go through everything and see what strikes me at the moment. And I wanted to incorporate the newest stamp set. And as you can see, it's got a lot of cute things that revolve around the mail. And these are really perfect for cards. But I don't really make a lot of cards. And so I looked at it and I thought, this little arrow is too cute. And so I thought I was going to just make my own background using this arrow. So what I'm going to do is take some white cardstock, and this is smooth cardstock. A lot of times I use textured, but this is smooth cardstock. And I'm going to trace a circle. And I pulled out several of my Distress inks, and I want to kind of just use greens and blues on this layout. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to create some arrows in a circle and see where it takes me. And I'm mixing and matching. I'm using some aquas, some blues, 2 different shades of green. And, you know, I'm getting a lot of ink on there and then stamping it a few times. So I have some darker colors into the lighter shades of that same color. And I like how this is looking. It looks pretty neat. And I can go back later and erase that circle that I traced because I used a pencil. So I thought I would do another layer of this arrow circle. And I'm just kind of using the different shades here in different spots than where the color was on the first circle. And I was kind of getting an idea as I started to make this. I thought, oh, I'm going to make another circle. And so I'm going to use a smaller circle. And I sped this up quite a bit because it's me just doing the same thing. Stamp, stamp, stamp. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use these pictures of my daughter. They love to be outside, and every time they're outside just walking around looking for leaves and enjoying the air, they're always going in different directions. And so I have so many pictures of them just being themselves outside. And so I thought these arrows would be perfect to kind of symbolize direction. You know, I've got one kid going this way, one kid going that way. They're hardly ever together. And so when I actually get them in the same picture together, it's a miracle. So even though, you know, they don't stop to pose for me, they don't want to smile, they're in their own little world doing their own little thing, and that's perfectly fine. But, you know, you can see in some of them, one's going one way and one's going the other. And so I thought, well, this would be cool because the arrows kind of symbolize this way and that way. And I printed a bigger one and then 2 smaller ones. And so it's going to take me a little bit of time to figure out the arrangement of where these pictures are going to go. So I'm doing nothing earth-shattering here. I'm using the plastic packaging from some thickers, I think, and I'm using some of the Distress inks as well as some shimmers to just smudge some color on my background to add some of the same colors that are in the stamps. And I like to mix and match. I hadn't used my Distress inks in a while, and so I thought I would kind of mix and match those with the shimmers. And I'm just playing around. I bring the pictures back and see how it looks, and then I'm going to add in some more greens. And I didn't do anything to the background. This is the Basil Marshmallow cardstock, and I really don't use it a lot, and I really don't know why, because it's fantastic. I didn't use any paint, any gesso, nothing like that on the background, and it's very sturdy, and everything is smudging and blending exactly how I want it to. And so, yeah, I'm very happy with this. Some things I'm just late to the game. I don't know why. I'd never tried it before, but I really love it. So I'm just more of the same. Splatters, packaging, using the brush a little bit. So then I decided I'm going to try to make this sort of a fall-related layout. And so I went to the Fall Colors stamp set that I showed you in the beginning, and there are 3 really gorgeous leaves on there. And I thought, you know, I'm going to make these gold. And so I'm going to do some heat embossing with gold powder. And this is just Recollections brand from Michaels. And there's something mesmerizing about watching embossing paste melt and set. It's so cool. I love how that looks. And this is some scrap cardstock that's smooth white also. So there's no texture on this. So I'm going to go back and get the other two leaves and make a couple more. I wanted to see how the first two turned out, and of course they turned out great, and so I had to make some more. And the embossing liquid that I'm using, it's pretty much the same stuff that's in an actual ink pad. It's just in a little dabber bottle. And I've had that for forever. I got that at Michael's also. I think it's by Stampendous. And this is easy. I mean, you stamp it, you put the glitter powder on top of it, and then you heat it up and you watch it melt, and then there you have it. It looks like you did something super complicated, but you really didn't. I mean, it does make a mess with the glitter, but if you put a piece of paper under there big enough, you can clean it up in no time, and it's totally worth it. So I didn't want to leave the inner parts of the leaves white, and so I'm going to use some of my shimmers and just a little teeny tiny brush and just smudge in some color. And I love how this turned out. This was really fun. Didn't take very long at all. And most of it is gold, but the leaves are very, they're artsy and sketchy. And so they've got a lot of open spaces. And when I use that liquid embossing glue or embossing ink, it's, you know, it's kind of smudgy. And so some of the open spots get kind of blurred. And, you know, because when you stamp with something liquid that's not just an ink pad, sometimes it can be messy. So they're not a perfect image, and that's okay with me. I like it to look distressed, and I like it to look a little messy. So I'm going to fussy cut these out. Got those all done, and I think they turned out really, really pretty. And now I'm going to try to figure out how in the heck am I going to put all these pictures on here and make it look decent. So I just start playing around with moving them around and tucking in some of these leaves. And I like how it looks kind of fall now, like a fall layout, but I'm not using fall colors. And these pictures were actually taken in January, but who cares, right? It's Florida. It's pretty much summer all the time. So I have to kind of stretch it sometimes to make a fall or a winter layout, because it's rare that we have on winter clothes. We don't have fall colors in the leaves or anything like that. So it's pretty much summer all the time. But I try to make it work. So I'm adding a little bit of tissue paper here behind my pictures. I do that a lot. I don't even know really why I like it. It just kind of gives a subtle border around the pictures. And I'm going to raise them up by adding some foam. And this is just some kids fun foam that I got at Walmart. And it's got adhesive, so it just sticks there. Now, I haven't glued anything down. I decided to use some old fabric thickers for my title, and it's going to be this way and that way. I thought, you know, I've never used that as a title, and that's pretty much what I'm thinking when I look at these pictures. I've got one going this way and one going that way. And so I thought, well, that'll make a cool title. And I like how this formation is going, because my title is going to sort of go in a staggered way from the left to the right, and it's going to fit in the spot just perfect. Now this is some thread. I decided to, of course, add thread, and so I pulled out some of that limeish, that's not even a word, lime green, limeish green. It matches, it's lime green-ish. Some aqua, and I think that's the only two colors that I used. So I took all that off and decided to do some stitching with my machine, and I used metallic gold, and I went around each of the two circles with the arrows, and then I went through all of the words of the title. And I wish I would have done that before I laid everything out, because now I have to reposition it with the thread and everything, but I didn't want to glue it down and then try to stitch, because that would have just been a disaster. So yeah, I'm going to rearrange everything and get it just like I want it, and then start to glue. And I know I'm going to get asked, that is Scotch Tacky Glue in my fine liner bottle, and I get that at Michael's, and it is fantastic. It's the only glue I've ever used in this bottle, and I've never had a problem with it. It's fantastic. I love it. I decided to add an ampersand, and that is from another pack of thickers that is metallic gold. I cannot remember the name of it. And of course, Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. Got to add that in there since I've got all the gold going on. I'm going to do a little bit of journaling and just talk about what's going on in these pictures. And if you notice, on the two smaller pictures, I position them to where they look like they're walking in toward the middle of the layout. So here's where I go into the other stamp sets. This is from the Journey stamp set, and it's just a little phrase that says, enjoy the journey. And I'm going to use my aqua ink, I think that's peacock feathers, and just stamp it down there as a little accent underneath the journaling. And then this is from This Moment, and I'm going to use a couple of little words from that and stamp at the top. It says Memories. And then one down at the bottom that says Good Times. And this is a great stamp set for just anything in general. It's got a lot of fun sayings that can go for anything. Last thing I'm going to do is add in some sequins. Of course, these are from Spiegel Mom Scraps. I'm using the green and a light blue color. And I wind up writing the date down there. I just wrote it this time. And that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. I love when something just comes together in my mind and it works. And I wind up loving it. Embossing those leaves was, I'm glad I did that. And it's really a lot of fun to just mix and match all of these stamp sets together. You never know what you can create. You don't necessarily have to have a collection or anything like that, because I just use random things here to make this, you know. I went through my stash and used my inks and some beautiful stamps. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see y'all in the next video. I hope you have a great weekend.